Welcome everyone to WTF Walk the Floors. Happy New Year, everybody. We are so excited to be on this side and excited that you're on the other side. We have a very cool topic here today. My name is Michele Kline and I am with Kline Hospitality. And I'm here with my co-hostess, Stephanie Ledger with First Rate Hospitality. Stephanie, how are you?
Very well. How are you? Happy New Year.
Fantastic. How did Miami bring in the new year? All the bells
Very
and whistles,
well.
I'm sure.
Oh, yes, of course. It's crazy that this is like the first time that I'm wearing makeup and doing my hair, I feel like, in about 3 weeks.
Well, that's great. Let's celebrate that. There you go.
Yeah, back to
Super.
our
Stephanie,
regular
tell us
schedule.
what are we doing today? Who do we have on the other side and what are we talking about?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited that our first guest of 2023 is the fabulous Ron Shelton, who we've worked with in the past, but we're going to be talking about the drapery. So with our background in housekeeping, we know that it's very important to making sure the drapery and that fabric is clean and fresh for all of our guests. So welcome, Ron. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And I also want to say happy birthday to Michelle, who just celebrated her birthday not too long ago.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ron. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show. So, give us, our viewers and listeners, a little bit about your background in hospitality.
Well, as these young ladies said, that we met a few lives ago at a company that we've worked together in, and I had the pleasure of working with each of them in different, you know, demographics of the company. And then we all branched out to somewhere. So a little bit about me, I'll give you my 30-second speech. Spent 25 years in the hospitality industry. Started out as a night auditor, went all the way up into different brands. A vice president of sales, regional director, sometimes working the front desk. But at the end of the day, it's been all about people. And just to kind of segue, now it's people in draperies.
Wonderful. So, why is drapery so important?
Well, I think what we've learned, probably because of the pandemic, that not only has everything needs to be really clean, it has to be extremely clean. And our draperies involved all of that. So the company I work for, On-Site Drapery Cleanings, we have a green cleaning company where we use no water. It's like a dry cleaning process. So I got into this business probably it's almost 2 years ago within the pandemic. And you don't realize how many of our partners, I should say, we think our draperies are clean, but when we get in and start doing inspections, you find that there's different levels of clean. So, and that's why we're here.
Absolutely. So, walk us through some of the process too, of what it takes to keep these draperies clean.
And
Well,
also
I
how
think,
often? Because it's something that I don't think is on our checklist typically as an item that should be touched, periodically. And like you say, since COVID, there is all this stuff that you start thinking about that, especially in material, it gets stuck to it. So also how often? Talk to us about educate us.
what we learn in our business is all 50 states, they have their own codes or specifications on what a clean drapery should be. And partnering along with that, a lot of the draperies in a lot of the states should also be certified with fire protection. So I've had experiences in my former career as a hotelier where I've actually looked out the window and I've watched a branded hotel burn to the ground. And I think once they did the inspection, they found out that the draperies of that hotel weren't properly treated. So what our company does, we'll get in, we'll do an assessment, we'll find out one, if the draperies will be intact for us to clean them for you, or we have to replace them, which we also sell draperies as well. And, I can give you information later on if you ask for it. However, so we get in, we find out how we do an assessment, and then we drive our truck to you. So we have locations in Canada, and then we're also located in the United States, in Texas, Florida, Chicago, and I was just promoted to oversee the West Coast area, which includes Vegas and LA and all points west. So what we do is we drive our trucks to you, we park outside, we run our draperies through, just picture the largest dry cleaning machine or dryer that you can imagine. And we can load up to 2,500 square feet of drapery in there. We clean it for about an hour, then it spins out. It gets rid of all the dust, dirt, everything like that. Then we'll rehang them for you, and then we treat them with our special fire coating product. And then if the fire inspector walks in and after we certify you, some states you're certified 3 years, some states you're certified up to 5 years. So that's the gist of our business. And a lot of people don't know that in the hotel industry because they think the best way to clean draperies is the dreaded vacuum. And
Yeah.
and what happens is when you vacuum your draperies, we find that you're moving dust and particles and dirt around. You're actually not cleaning them. So
Wow. Very
So,
interesting.
Ron, you had me at we'll hang them for you. That's it. Because you think about it, like you're always thinking logistics. How are we supposed to do this, right? And the
correct.
fact that you'll hang it for everyone, then it makes everything so much easier. So without pushing anyone off the plank into the WTF moment, I can't help it but share. Here's the thing. You touched upon number one, the drapes are dirty.
Correct.
So let's get them cleaned. Yeah, great idea, right? Sometimes it's a vacuum, and sometimes, depending on what happened, it's something else. And you decide not to call the experts without keeping in mind what you were just saying, Ron, about the need for the drapes to be fire retardant. And I remember early on in my career, I was at a property that had nightclub. And this one day for New Year's Eve, the property decides to throw a foam party. It was a terrible idea. Let me tell you, it was a terrible idea, right?
I'm not laughing at all.
The so
That's a
so here's the
WTF
thing.
moment right there.
Without saying too much, I'm not even going to mention the location, because if I mention the location, everybody's going to know who these are, which this property is. But the nightclub was also the showroom. So it's a showroom first, and then it turns into a nightclub. So the floor is carpet. So imagine the carpet in the foam party. We're not going to talk about carpet. We're here to talk about drapes. However, the different levels, VIP levels, were divided by drapes. Beautiful drapes, right? Millions of dollars spent in renovating. We come in and we wash the carpet. We extract the carpet because it was green and the carpet was naturally a dark gray. And then what do? We go extract with a handheld wand the drapes. Terrible idea. Not knowing that they were fire retardant, of course. Like we ruined the drapes, and we ruined the fact that now they had to be recoated and so on. So I just couldn't help it. What is your WTF moment, Ron? Since you've been on this side of the industry.
I think kind of akin to what you were talking about, Michelle, and I was shivering as you were telling that tale because the first thing I'm thinking is that's a nightmare that's about to take place. My WTF moment in this industry, I think, was I work with the brand, and you're going in and you're looking at these drapes, and a lot of the rooms do have carpet as well. I look up, and this has never happened in the hotel business. You see a ceiling that's just moist and wet.
Oh no.
And
Oh,
yes, exactly. Um, we find out that the pipes have broken in the ceiling, and the ceiling just comes crashing down
Oh
on me
no.
as I'm
no.
taking the drapes down. Yeah, we still have to do it. The great thing about our cleaning process is we just do a deep cleaning. We pull the drapes down. Now we have to get the other team that's involved in the industry involved in that before we can go back and restore everything. They have to rebuild the ceiling, put everything back together. But I think that moment right there brought a lot of things clear for me in this particular industry right here. But it also brought my experience from the previous industry. I'm not going to, again, like you, I'm not going to mention names of properties or where they were located because I might reveal my sources.
Mm.
Um, we'll just say Oahu, Hawaii. I'm being sarcastic. But you start to have hard conversations with managerial staff, and you start to say, "Hey, have your people been walking and doing their PMs, and are you doing inspections and things like that?" Because
I'm not
what
sure that's a
happens,
best practice. How do you tell them that?
but what happens is when someone like me comes in, and I might be the more outlier than anything else. Someone like me comes in, and you're supposed to pay X amount to just get your draperies clean. Now you're paying a little more to get your draperies clean because of something that could have been prevented, your WTF moment that could have been prevented before me arriving there. But I have other crazier stories which are outside of the hotel business, but we're going to stay in the hotel business because they involve lifts and people dangling from places, and no one wants to hear about that stuff.
Stephanie, what about you?
I mean, for mine was definitely when I was inspecting hotels and getting checked into a room that only had one drape. So here I am, and part of the inspection is checking to making sure that the drapes, especially the blackout curtains, close all the way, that they are blackout instead of, the hack now of using the hanger with the clips to trying to keep the drapes together. But yes, so I checked into a room and it only had one of the drapes hanging. So that was interesting to seeing first thing in the morning of here you are trying to keep the ambiance and sleeping in a little bit. And nope, here comes the sun with the one drape. So that was very interesting. But then also too, from being in housekeeping for so many years as well, is then the coordination that goes when you are going through these cleaning services to making sure that you're labeling the room that it's coming from, if it's the left side or the right side, because there's a lot of logistics, because not all of those drapes are sized to fit into every single room, and the left versus the right can be very different as well. And now you're just doing more steps for yourself of trying to figure it out. And then you hang it and realize that it looks all crazy. Now you have to go
Then
back.
you go from one WTF moment to another WTF moment.
I know,
Great.
both sides of the spectrum.
And if I could borrow 5 seconds, I think what I've learned also, and I think maybe you'll agree or maybe you won't, we always focus on our carpet cleaning. At least twice a year, you're bringing in your vendor to come in and clean carpets, but never the drapes.
Yeah.
The drapes are just, oh, we're here, we're drapes. And you're so right, Stephanie. Oh, I've gone into situations and you find out that the drape for room 808 is hanging in 107. And it's 808 right, but it's hanging in 107 left. So you're going to try to pull the drape too, and it's not coming over. And it's not coming over. And then the wand drops down. And then yeah, the blackout doesn't totally black out. And we've been in an industry where we've had to do overnights at some point. So you're trying to go to sleep in the middle of the day, and the sun is at 11 o'clock, and you're laying there saying, I need to get to sleep. I've got to do another overnight.
Where's my drape people?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
I digress.
Ron, let me ask you something. For whatever reason, I have a thing about shears. I feel like shears cannot be clean enough, right? I don't think we clean shears as often as we should. For whatever reason, I feel like shears get dirtier than the actual curtain. So, is there a difference between how often we should target the cleaning of both, or is it the same?
Well, under normal circumstances, I would target as if you're working, let's say, in a particular market where let's look at our occupancy levels, low during the low seasons, January through March and December, whatever, and high during the high seasons. But let's say you're in Vegas. Of course, your frequency should be more because let's face it, Michelle, you hit the nail on the head. For whatever reason, we don't touch the drapes. Our families hit the hotel rooms, and the first thing they start grabbing are the shears. So I found pizza, I found birthday cake, I have found coffee stains.
Sneezes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't go there, but yes. Let's say human spray.
So can we agree that we should target those shears more often than we do the curtains?
Yes, and I think
Super.
targeting the shears again, it's an inspection program. That's exactly what it is. It's all education and training, and sometimes it takes someone like me coming in and having the conversation with the operational leaders or directors of housekeeping and just saying, "Hey, these are just as important because again, we walk on the floor all the time. However, it's almost like being at a buffet. You don't want everyone touching the food at the buffet. So everyone touches the drapes and curtains and rooms.
It's gross.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to be very nice and say it's gross, but you said it nicer. It's gross.
And I think also too, same thing with like the grand lobby. So here you are having the tall curtains, and there's also too could be a family with their children playing around and touching with food and things. And so I think also too of those areas where we may not see such high traffic, but also to making sure that we're giving that much attention to those areas as well, because we never know who's sneaking around, touching and moving everything as well.
Or hiding behind it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happens to my children at all.
I was just at a West Coast location, and funny that you said Grand Lobby. The drapes were probably 30 feet high. So from your normal guest eye, they're like, oh, wow, it looks wonderful. Everything looks clean. Hoteliers, for whatever reason, we have x-ray vision. We see beyond a lot of things. So everything may look clean, let's say 6 feet, 7 feet down. But let's just say you just shake the drapery a little bit.
Ew, no, don't do it.
Remember, we have PTAC units in these places.
Yes.
And a lot of times they're just blowing debris and everything around. And all of a sudden you have a snowfall.
Yeah, right when the
exactly.
right when the sun is going in.
and when does it really happen? It happens when you're having a QA.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that's a whole different conversation.
Yes, it is.
Ron,
that we too could be
so
involved
much.
in.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I think that we don't talk about drapery enough. So this was great. And it's always good to put a little extra out there so that our leaders in the making and our tenured leaders can get a little bit of perspective. So thank you for being on the show.
No, it's my pleasure. This is Ron Shelton at the On-Site Drapery Cleaners. Michelle and Stephanie are awesome. Walk the floors with these guys.
Let's do it. Walk the floors. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining,
guys.
everyone.
Have a successful year.
You as well.
Thank
Bye.
you.